Hey, now look, I want to share a story with you. Now, I know there is going to be a percentage of you in the chat that are going to roll your eyes and go, ugh, Anna Kasparian. Oh my God, I hate this. I hate the young turds. Their turn to the right, their whitewashing of Trump. And I'm like, I'm with you. I'm with you, kids. Like, honestly, I'm with you. However, like I said at the start of the show, right? If you're a sports ball follower and you have a particular sports ball person that you like to follow, and you see them when they're at their peak of their powers, and then they start to tail off, and then they get to the end of their career. And then at the end of the career, for no known reason, they have one game and they are performing like they're at the peak of their powers again. Like they're a 38-year-old basketball player and they're playing like they're 24 and they scoring 6. It's just like an out of the box, out of the world performance. That's how this feels like to me. Now, I'm not suggesting that Anna Kasparian was ever the GOAT or anything, but certainly, I mean, especially around the Bernie Sanders movement, there was a lot of people who have been involved in left politics, plenty of you watching, who would have looked up to TYT, who would have looked at them as a voice of progressives, who may not do it now. However, it feels to me that in one of the latest episodes of, where you going, dog? Get back on your mat. Walk out on me, smash you. It appears that in one of the latest episodes of Piers Morgan, she had that performance. At least that's how it feels to me, and I actually believe you're going to enjoy it. So this is General Mark Kimmett. General Mark Kimmett, as you can see, he was the Assistant Secretary of State for Political Military Affairs under George W. Bush for a couple of years, and then there was this guy, Jonathan, who is a former IDF force spokesperson from 2017 to 2021, and now as part of the think tank Foundation for Defence Democracies, which, as you will appreciate, is a neoconservative, non-profit think tank in Washington, D.C., has been described as pro-Israel, anti-Iran lobby due to its focus on Iran and opposition to the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran. So they're the people who are on this panel with her. You can't see the general because he's left, but you'll probably see him. Well, maybe not even there. He left very early. There he is. There's the general there. And there's a fantastic comment at the end of the general's his bit where he says, "I think it's a good time for me to leave." He actually runs away from Anna Kasparian. And I have to say, and I know some people have already commented on the thumbnail. You know how Piers Morgan always has a thumbnail of people yelling? That I did on purpose get this. This was the image I took from it, because just once in my life, I wanted to have one of those thumbnails. So yep, you got me. But I just wanted to do it once in my life, because if you ever see Piers Morgan or any of those shows, they always put those images on there, and I wanted to do it once. And if it quadruples our numbers, maybe I'll do it again. So here, this is the first part of the conversation. She's talking to the general, or the general is being asked a question. And look, it's really about her interaction with the general and then her interaction with the IDF spokesperson. And I'm not saying that the people at TYT are doing this, but I think what you're seeing with the Kyle Kalinskis of the world and the Brian Tyler Cohens is, I'm not going to give you any more grace. If I need to shout you down, I will shout you down. Like, they're going to be the assholes now. For too long, I think the left have been we can all talk about this and get along. Oh, and you guys won. And the right have been, I will rip your eyes out and I will make you blind if it means I can win. The left in America over the last kind of 6 to 12 months have basically been going, I'm not giving an inch anymore. And that's what you see in this conversation with Anna Kasparian. And, they do Trump and American politics terribly, but on Gaza, man, her and Cenk both still seem to have some of the right perspectives, right as in correct, not as in right block.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime generation for the Israelis to attack, and every Israeli pilot for the past 30 years has wanted to be the first one
attack Iran, by the way. Iran, sorry.
In the cockpit to end that nuclear program. The fact that the Ring of Fire was destroyed and it was now a manageable threat from Iran, no longer
which, by the way, hasn't been destroyed. All reports today say it hasn't been completely annihilated. Pretty much now all of the intelligence in America is saying it has not been destroyed.
Deterrence. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity, and Netanyahu took that opportunity.
Final question before I let you go.
But it wasn't Israeli pilots. It was American pilots. Let's be clear about that. American pilots did this incredibly risky mission. Luckily, none of them got hurt. But this is going to start a full-blown war with Iran, a war that the United States should not be fighting on behalf of any foreign country, including Israel.
Okay.
It's unacceptable.
All right.
Unacceptable.
We don't actually.
How
we
many
don't know,
years do American taxpayers and
Hang
our
on.
members of our military need to be slaves to the Israeli government? I need someone to answer that question.
Okay, listen,
Well,
I know General
A
Kim.
genocidal regime.
Hang on, General Kim, it does have to go. I just want to ask you before you go, just one last question. Would you, as a military commander, have been comfortable about what the IDF has been doing at the behest of the Israeli government in the last 3 months in Gaza?
Well, I'd rather answer the question directly of Kasparian. Look, as somebody who's worn a uniform for 30 years,
Kasparian.
the conditions that had been set by the Israeli Defense and the Israeli Air Forces and Mossad meant that this was not only the most lethal attack since Hiroshima, but it was also the safest attack. The fact remains the IAF had wiped out the air defenses. Mossad had put a lot of pressure. This was the safest operation, not to include the Great Deception Plan, where President Trump used Winston Churchill's axiom that the truth is so important, it must be a bodyguard of lies. And I would tell you right now, there's not an American pilot that was worried about this attack and had anything but pride for this attack.
Okay, and just finally, the answer to my question?
If it was about Gaza, again, I think that I certainly don't commend the killing of innocents and civilians. But you know that when the enemy wraps itself around civilian targets, civilian facilities.
You support genocide.
That facility is now no longer, it is now a military target. I don't necessarily see at this point that it's genocide for the simple reason that the Gazans and Hamas have an opportunity to end that, and that's to return the hostages and end this carnage. In previous actual genocides,
that's a lie, and you know it. You know it. They're shooting and killing civilians at humanitarian aid hubs, dozens of them on a daily basis. Literal children are getting shot in the face.
Piers, it is a good time.
It's a genocide.
Piers,
it's a genocide.
Piers, you are right. It is a good time for me to leave.
Okay.
I thought we were going to have a discussion,
See you later.
The brave general advances rearward.
That is the first clip.
Far out.
If any of you were disappointed that I let too many of his words out, not enough hers, that was the entree. The meal du jour will come up with the IDF spokesperson where she has a crack at him. But yeah, I mean, welcome to speak to the issue first of all, Chewie, or we can just roll straight into the next clip. Your call.
Yeah, look, I don't know this woman. I really don't. I don't know what good or bad that she's done, but she's 100% right. And in that setting, I'm just like, I'm not going to let this guy talk. We know it. Let's not let him dance around the words. He's okay with what's happening in Gaza. The thought I had was that general's rhetoric would have flown like 9 months ago with Piers and a bunch of other outlets would have been perfectly happy with that. Yeah. And now it clangs. It's like dropping a pipe from the second story. It's just like, how are you okay with this? How is there any sort of justification that, we know that Hamas have offered up the hostages multiple times in the last year and a half. And Israel's always said no. And there's got to be a level of civilian collateral damage that you go, ooh, better tone it down, boys. It was just last week. They used tanks, snipers, and drones against civilians, men, women, and children, lining up for food. There's no justification. Can't do it. Just don't take the interview.
The other thing to remember, though, is where a lot of people on the left were and look, I don't want to sound like that the left has been soft, but the left in general. Look, I've been talking about the kind of political left-right difference since 2000. In the mid 2005 when I started working in Talkback, and for me it's been evident for a very long time that the right has known how to play the ugly game of politics better than the left. I do use an analogy often that sometimes the left, like playing a game of rugby, if they pass the perfect pass and they kick the perfect kick and they manage to lose by 1 point, they go, oh, but we played such a good game. Whereas the right are the guys that'll eye gouge you and illegally tackle you and punch you in the right just to win. That has been the vibe, but what I'm saying is I think the left are finally seeing that, and it's like they are now not giving that that same kind of. I think we just disagree. Think about us to do with. National Act New Zealand First. It's no longer just, we think something differently to them and we just think we'd be better to run the country. There has been a sea change in the last few years, and I think the left is much more likely to get in the dirt than they were 10 years ago, Chewie.
Yeah, so bringing it back home, I think almost every question that is directed towards David Seymour should be preempted by you were okay sheltering a pedophile for months and months and months and months.
You sent the pedophile's victim to a lawyer, not the police. What's that all about?
Yeah. So every question should be that to start with, and then as he stammers through that, hit him with, why does the RSB only get 30 hours worth of oral submissions? And then when he stumbles on that, then you hit him with the pedophile question again.
But does that really work? You sheltered a pedophile for months and months and months and months and sent the victim to a lawyer, not to the police. Why is a regulatory service bill only getting 30 hours of submissions? Is that not a bit jarring? Does that still work?
Oh, I don't think that's fair, Pat. Okay, well, I'll rephrase my question. So you sheltered a pedophile from... just keep on. That's the first question.
Rochelle wants to know who is the Muppet in the middle. Just to remind you all, the Muppet in the middle, there's a guy called Jonathan. He is the international spokesperson for the IDF from 2017 to 2021. Now works for a think tank that's basically sees how far it can stick its nose up Israel's ass every single second of the day. So that's who the Muppet.
Not that far with a chin like that. That's really going to just narrow down the depth.
He is the Muppet in the middle, and again. Much like yourself, Chewie, I don't have a lot of time for Anna Kasparian. But, if we're going to congratulate Mark Mitchell this week on making a statement that was the right statement to make towards Destiny Church, when you see a fading star of the left, because there's no question 10 years ago TYT were stars of the left, fading star who maybe has changed positions because of money, who maybe has changed position because of age. I don't know. Some people are going to be offended by that, going, I'm 64 and I'm still progressive. Cool. When they return to their roots, we can still look at it and go, great. That was a great piece. So here she is talking to the IDF spokesperson. Well, yelling at the IDF spokesperson. I've got 2 clips to play here.
Even though I've never met the person who is constantly interrupting others, I don't think we've ever even communicated on X, but I can feel your frustration. No, don't interrupt me. I can feel your frustration. I can feel how sad you are. I can feel how difficult it is for you to see Israel teaching the Iranian regime a lesson and Israel winning on the battlefield. I can understand that it's frustrating for you. I can understand that you're having a tough time dealing with reality.
You have to actually address the substance of my argument. Why are IDF soldiers shooting and killing children at humanitarian aid hubs? You genocidal prick.
And frankly, really your talking points are tired.
The whole world sees you guys for what you are.
I'm not here to answer your questions, Mrs. Interrupter. I'm not here to answer your questions. Last time I checked, this wasn't your channel. This wasn't your channel, and you've done nothing but interrupt and talk nonsense. You've only been talking nonsense so far, and I've been sitting here and listening quite politely to your nonsense, and you keep on screaming over me as if you're right.
Individually talking. Don't talk over each other. There's no point.
I can't stand these people and they're disgusting.
Well timed, Piers.
Excuse me, I was talking, and then you started interrupting, and you're screaming. You're impolite.
I can speak over you.
You're not even facts-based. You're just screaming.
We can't have a debate,
and it's not going to work.
We can't have a debate if you don't let Jonathan at least let him. Let Jonathan.
Part one.
It's a hell of a format that Piers has got there.
Well, you
Just
can
have
tell what's
two
happening.
people shouting at each other, and
Yeah,
then
but you can
three
tell-
people in
Oh,
other
dude.
windows that are just sitting there.
Watch this episode. 5 of them go at the same time on a couple of occasions, and I know what's
it's
happening
so
in the
dumb.
control room. The producers are going, "Okay, okay, it's fine. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now we can't jump in now, Piers." Like that's what they'll literally be doing.
I don't know, 5 minutes of constant two people just talking nonstop, and then you just hear Piers go, "No, you can't talk over each other."
So
Well
that's where
controlled, Piers. Good
That's
job.
where the welfare whores line comes out, and now this is the last clip, and now the clip that where she talks about you can't have meaningful conversations with genociders. I don't know if that's actually a word, but people who commit it, there's no point having meaningful conversations, and I sort of kind of agree. And what you can see here, you can actually see here what the IDF's former IDF spokesman is doing. This tool that is being used of staying calm, staying monotone, saying that's not true and moving on, making the other people, you're trying to make the other people look like they're sort of a bit mad, but actually the other person's passionate and on point for this one. Here's one more.
She is here to instigate. She constantly interrupts. That is not a way to have a meaningful discussion. And if I'd ask you to kindly, put her in place so that at least I could say 2 or 3 sentences.
Put her in place.
That's the first
Putting
thing.
your
Now
ass
I
in
can
place.
understand the frustration of so many people that are Israel haters disguising as liberals, disguising as humanitarians. I can see and feel, and I even have compassion for your feelings that you see the great empire that the Iranians built against us. It is being decimated piece by piece, and there is nothing you can do to stop it.
That's interesting though, because that's not what Israel's been saying. He's saying that Iran's been decimated and destroyed piece by piece. That's not what Israel's been saying. Israel's been saying we just want to stop the nuclear issue and then we're done. So there's some mixed messaging coming out here. That is he being flustered by Anna, and is he now giving away, is he saying the quiet part out loud? Actually, our plan is to decimate Iran and destroy it piece by piece, because that's what he's just said. But that's not either America or Israel.
Probably closer to the truth than anything else.
But that's what I'm saying.
I think when you look at what Israel has done to Gaza, you can see what a methodical country that can be. Like, there are urban centers. There is not a building left standing as far as the eye can see. They have hit everything.
Yeah.
They have been systematic in the fact that they told people to evacuate one end. Then they told them to evacuate from the middle. Then you're down the end. You've got to evacuate back, and just filtering like you're pushing flour through a sieve. And they're just cleaning up targets. They're methodical. They plan. Like their initial strikes on Iran, they proved that they could hit people in their beds. They knew where they lived. They knew when they left. They can be pinpoint accurate, or they can put an entire people through a meat grinder. I think anything where they say, "Oh no, we're just going to be restrained," should always be looked through the lens of, you don't want to. You want to open the gates of hell on whoever you want to go after.
I also think what's happening is the IDF spokesperson, former spokesperson, he's using those, and I think Anna actually pointed out in the last clip, he's using those common sayings that I think. Remember, Piers Morgan now concurs there's a genocide going on in Gaza, and I think Gaza has changed a lot of people's minds on who Israel is in the West. There was a line drawn in the sand, and they've gone over it. So these things, I saw a chat go past that said, is that even a bad thing, an Israel hater? It's like these things about you're an Israel hater. But people now more people now kind of go, yeah, we've heard this before, even if they're not like us, caught up in day-to-day politics and kind of intravenously inject it. And I don't think it's as effective as perhaps it once was. Let's get to the end of this, because I think she has at least one more crack, and then we can wrap up.
And it must be frustrating. It must be frustrating to see
because
Israel
you guys have
defend
occupied the
itself
American government,
after a
obviously.
Hamas attack on
But all
October the
those boomers
7th.
are going to be
And
gone
it
one
must
day,
be
and I can't
frustrating
wait.
to see Israel persisting and winning and defeating our enemies despite the efforts of the likes of you and many others who have teamed up against Israel. And I can understand the frustration, but guess what? It's not going to help. Your opinion isn't true. It is not reality-based. Just like you just said in the beginning that Israelis are fleeing. On the contrary, Israelis are lining up, and there's actually a national airlift to get home. There's an Israeli national airlift to get Israelis home from all over the world, from Greece and from Cyprus, so that they can come home and be with their families as Israel is being attacked.
Go back to Israel. Put your uniforms on.
All right, okay. I'm now going to go. I'm going to bring in.
If you missed that, she said, "Do you get aroused when a Palestinian child gets shot in the face?"
Yeah, she was off the chain. And I'm here for it. I like that just whenever she went off, he just dipped into misogyny town.
Yeah. Control the woman.
Oh yeah. Fuck. Look, I think you're right. Like, Israel's been doing this for a long time. They've been doing it slowly. They've been doing it in sporadic little bursts. They've definitely cruised off the fact that they got attacked quite a few times during the Cold War. But I think this is so in everyone's face, like, it's so blatant, it has so much cut through that the Israeli people are going to be dealing with this internationally for quite a long time. I think it's going to be in the interactions of their tourists when they're traveling the world. They're going to experience what people really think. There's been examples of that in Thailand and the Philippines, in South America, in Italy, all throughout Europe. Like, I saw footage the other day of a flight from Tel Aviv of people getting the hell out of Dodge when Iran started attacking them. And they came into, I think it was an airport in Paris, waving Israeli flags and just, expecting a welcome, and they were booed, and their instant reaction was aggression. Like, it was straight away, well, fuck you, you don't cheer me. And I think that comes from just their perception of what the global public thinks of them doesn't gel with how they can go, well, America supports this, right? We've got so many politicians and all of these global leaders that support Israel and our right to exist and all of this sort of thing. But that's not what the public thinks. And that's going to make their interactions with people very frictiony.
And that is changing. There's commentators on the right now who are like, no, we don't need to be paying for and funding Israel's wars. Whereas 5-10 years ago, there was no dissent. So you've already got the people on the left in America, people like Sam Cedar, and I've noticed the Vanguard always be mentioned in the chat a few times. All the guys who are sort of doing what we're doing, but in America, they're already there. But you do have some, albeit some of them are lunatics, some of them are crazies, but there are people over there who are on the right who are now saying, no funding for Israel. Israel fight its own wars. We're not wanting to be involved with Iran. We don't want to do this. And that 10 years ago was not heard of. So it's an interesting sea change there as well.
I saw a really interesting piece, a meme, whatever you want to call it.
An interesting piece or a meme? They're two very different things.
A meme. An interesting piece of propaganda, perhaps.
Okay, good.
I don't know. But it was making the point of just, hey, did you know that the US gives this much to Israel per year? That's this much every day. And do you know what they have in Israel? They have free education and healthcare. Do you? Now, that pointed at an American audience. Where how much they're taxed is so important, where the issue of private healthcare and the insurance companies that are fleecing them all is so in their face in the moment. Put that on fucking billboards.